That gets you drunk. Welcome back. And is that a Topo Chico? A Chico Topo?
You know it, baby.
Those are so good.
The healing waters of Topo Chico.
Mineragua.
It is a good one. I don't know how I feel about our butter on top this week, if it was a good one or not. I'm going to say right now, going right into it, for the audience, it was Godzilla and Kong. And that is because they are a tag team duo. They are like the Legion of Doom, but they're the Legion of Monarch monsters or Titans. Legion of Titans. Ooh, that's a cool tag team name. Someone should come up with that group for the
Legion of Titans.
The Legion of Titans. But for me, I'm going to say this. The CGI was really good, actually. I thought it was like really good. And you could tell they invested most of the budget into that CGI because there was not a lot of acting. And there was not a lot of dialogue. There was a lot of ASL, lots of sign language, lots of communicating telepathically. But you didn't have the humans on screen for a whole lot of time, which I can appreciate, because if you guys think back to my review of Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, the show on Apple TV, I was like, there's just not enough monsters. There's too much backstory, which is cool, but you've got to find like that nice middle ground, right? Here, I was fine with them not finding the middle ground. I was like, you know what? This is what I paid to see. I paid to see giant monsters throw down. And that's what I got. And the more I thought about it, I was like, is this a Popcorn and 2 just for the genre? Just not as an amazing film, it should win an Oscar, but just for the genre. Mm-hmm. It's been down. It hasn't been fun. And this movie was fun. It was entertaining. Lots and lots and lots of monsters. 5 of them in the final scene, just throwing down. Like, what was that old video game, Josh? Rumble, where you used to tear down buildings. What was it? Rampage. Yeah. Rampage style monsters just crushing things in the city. And I loved Kong's story. I loved Kong and Diddy Kong. So there was a few things here I want to go over. Did you notice that? Did you pick up on that? How it was like a Kong and Diddy Kong storyline going on there? Yeah. He even did some Diddy Kong moves, which threw me off. But I like that everybody now is saying Kong is a cat, or Godzilla is a cat, right? No. Everybody is saying Kong is a cat because of the way he curls up in the Coliseum and falls asleep like it's his territory. Outside of that, I didn't need much from this movie. I'm going to go Popcorn and 2. I think if you're a fan of action films, I need to see Godzilla -1 still to see what it's up against as far as effects are concerned. Yeah, but it was a solid, fun movie, and it didn't feel like I was in there that long because it wasn't just killing you with dialogue, death by dialogue.
Exposition.
It was just bang, 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 and then you were done. Jordan, what'd you think?
And then you smoke a cigarette.
Yeah, it was... It was good. Godzilla goes Super Saiyan a lot in this. You know, there's a lot of him charging up his powers.
Hey, Alpha is the most powerful Godzilla. Is pink. Deal with that.
Yeah. Kong is a big crybaby in this movie. He's always crying about something, getting beat up with this. He has a toothache, and he passes out from a toothache. And he
passed out from climbing up to Earth from...
Okay, fair point. It was exactly what I expected. The CGI stuff was cool. Like you said, there's no dialogue really in this movie, not a lot of acting. I love the world that they built, like the Middle Earth, and I like all the lore and stuff that comes with it. Right? It's called Center Earth or Middle Earth? Center Earth.
Hollow Earth. Hollow Earth. It's called Hollow Earth.
Yeah, I love the world that they built. It's really cool and all that with the Hollow Earth and all the lore and stuff that comes with it. It's just cool CGI stuff. But yeah, the characters, the human characters, are just so cookie cutter. They're so shallow. You know,
but I also felt like they were ancillary.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But they just flash to one of any number of character occasionally, and they just go, "Damn," and then back to fighting monsters.
Insert
Oh my,
one-liner.
yeah. Oh my god, and then back to monsters fighting.
Was there a character at some point that said, "He's got a robot arm now"?
I don't know.
No, but that scene was pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Scene was pretty cool when they put the arm on him.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna throw shade on it, man. They did it. It wasn't like corny or anything. They did it in a cool way. Like it was like even the way he needs the arm was pretty dope. So I can't hate on it. It wasn't like corny. It was like, oh,
touche.
I see.
Yeah. So if we're rating this on a scale of like how good the movie actually was, or just like if I liked it, God, I have to give this movie a popcorn. It's just a stupid. It's so dumb, but it's exactly what you expect when you put this on. Like, and it's just like, so you're gonna get that, and it's good. Like I could have this movie on while I'm like cleaning or like just in the house, and I would probably get caught watching a few scenes of it. You know what I mean? Like it's not it's a very watchable popcorn.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I liked it so much, but it just maybe because it was exactly what I wanted out of it, which was just like, give me monsters, no crybaby humans, like or fighting. Like I just wanted to see monsters fighting each other, and that's exactly what we got from Godzilla and Kong. And how about the villain? The villain with those long old arms, man. That villain had long arms. He was lengthy. The villain was like, that villain had some length to him. I was like, Kong might be in trouble. This guy's got to reach.
Mm-hmm. Plus, he had that like scorpion spine whip.
That thing was dope. The whip, yeah.
This sounds really awesome. I'm sorry I missed it.
It's just a lot of monsters fighting. Like I don't know what to say. Like I said, I don't know why I liked it so much. But I was sitting there and I was like, dang, I like this movie. I went into it probably with super low expectations, and I was like, no, this is a cool monster movie.
And what I really liked about it too, I could appreciate, was that like, so there's no dialogue, like it's monsters and stuff the whole time, but there's a lot of expression on their faces, and you can tell what they're communicating to each other. Like the big Kong and the little baby Kong, like there's a bunch of scenes where there's this like, Kong? There's like this the rundown kind of dynamic where it's like the big oaf is pushing the little guy through the jungle. Take me to your lair. Come on, So
the quick spoil is a tiny itty bitty spoiler alert. Also, I'm gonna curse, but there's a scene where Kong makes it to where the other apes are, and he doesn't want to kill the apes. He's been searching for family, according to the storyline. Like he wants to find his family. He feels like he's the only Kong that exists. And that's why he's been exploring this hollow earth place, right? And he comes upon it, and it's a big fight. And then he saves the ape, because he was going to kill the ape, but he saves him before he kills him. And he catches him, and he pulls him up. And the ape tries to stab him after he saves him. And Kong, like, Sparta kicks him over the ledge, like, bitch, I just saved you. It was pretty fun. It made me laugh out loud. And I was like, yeah, I would feel that way too. Like, I just saved you. All right, Josh, we're going a full 180 to a different kind of movie. We're going to the drunk classic, the Roja Violin. So, Josh,
that's how you say it. Red Violin, 1999 movie. I think this has got to be, perhaps in my like big list of classic movies, this is probably the most frilly. Would you agree?
Okay.
It's just an extremely this is the European movie we put up for consideration for the Oscars this year. You know what I mean? Even though it's not a European movie, it plays European because a lot of it takes place in Europe also. But it's just, this movie is just an excuse to think about music through the ages and how it's affected society as a whole and humanity and blah blah blah. And it's loosely told through the eyes of this violin. So it's a bunch of short stories all wrapped together, right? Centering around a violin. I thought each story was good in its own right, and they the way they tied it together was cool. I thought the ending was cute. The whole thing is just to get a violin for his daughter, and it's like the best violin ever. and he's just going to give it to his daughter.
To kill her?
No, not to kill her.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's what it feels like.
No, stupid. The tarot cards that are being read through the show is predicting what's going to happen. It's kind of a spoiler, not really, but anyway, the tarot card reading in the beginning of the story determines what's going to happen to the rest of the violin's life, and then the final card is where it all settles down, and it's not necessarily for a bad thing. So the tarot gypsy lady, the Romani woman's, she says like the violin's going to be safe and happy with his last rightful place of ownership, which is the daughter. Anyway, that's such a non-point of the movie. Right. It's but anyway, the movie's just about music appreciation. I really thought it was pretty. I don't know if I give it a popcorn in 3, maybe not even a 2. It's a popcorn in 1 movie. Sam Jackson's in it. Doesn't have to be. Anyway.
Is he? Yeah, is he though? Is he?
I knew that was going to irritate
That's
you. That's
how you sold it, and I'm like, he's not in this
Sam
movie.
Jackson.
No. He has a one scene. Bitch, give me my mail when my mail comes. That was his only scene.
It's my business.
Do anything else.
I feel like he could drop that line in any situation when he's upset about something bad customer
it's
service.
Business.
Yeah. These fries is cold. It's my business.
It's a really beautiful line. Yeah. I gotta say, of all of them, my favorite one of all the little mini stories, I don't know, it was either, I want to say that was Communist China? Maybe it was Korea?
Yes, it was China. Mao is China, yes.
Oh, Mao, yeah, good call. Excuse me. Or the little boy who drops dead at the end. I thought that was just a really funny ending.
In front of the pedophile Prussian?
And then, like, the look on the guy's face when we're burying the violin with the boy, and he's like, oh. Anyway, I don't know. What'd you guys think?
Yeah, reading the bio of this movie before I watched it, like when I clicked to pull it up on the Comcast, was like, it was so vague. It was like, man explores the origin of a mysterious violin. And I was
Did he though? What are these? Yeah. Samuel L. Jackson's in it. Man explores the origin. There was no exploration of any origin.
Yeah. I know. Yeah.
Sorry, Jordan.
Yeah. No, truly. Like, how did he know about the red violin? There's no indication. How
does anyone
knows. Yeah.
How does anyone?
There's no indication
closure.
That anyone.
No paper trail,
everyone's always like, "Yo, that's a dope violin," but nobody ever expands on that.
It's the ultimate acoustic machine. It's like he drops some stupid line like that. And they're analyzing it. Yeah, you know. So I read this bio and I was like, why is Josh mad at me? I was like, Fry, I understand, but like, what did I do to you, bro? But you know, it was the whole time I'm watching this from like as the story is unwinding. I'm kind of watching it like if any Curb Your Enthusiasm fans here, the Larry David stare down. Like that's kind of the slow unwinding vibe of this movie. And like I didn't want to like this movie, but I really ended up kind of enjoying it. Like I could appreciate like the historical journey of this, like seeing it.
You went opposite of me. That's so funny. I can't believe you didn't unveil that to me while I was telling you my experience. You went what's becoming a theme on this show, Oppo Boppo.
Oppo Boppo.
Yeah, I could appreciate this kind of Forrest Gump journey of this violin.
Who was its Jenny? Who was its Jenny? Who got AIDS, Jordan?
You know who was Jenny? Was the kind of the homoerotic vampire violinist guy that gets shot out of his hands.
The draconian pedophile.
Yeah, that weirdo. Yeah, that was Jenny. This movie has the aesthetic of like a PBS after school special.
Yes,
like straight up.
Or Josh's other pick with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. What was it? Far from West or Heading West
Far and Away.
We're Far and Away. Very similar, like aesthetic.
Similar, yeah.
I think
Definitely
that's a 90s. That's a 90s tone. Like that's a very specifically 90s tone. That aesthetic you're talking about.
Yeah. I like how the one black guy in the entirety of this movie is the guy that steals the violin. Like, come on. That's messed up. That's messed up.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh,
That's
man.
Right. Come on. But
and he used company funds to get the replica made.
Oh, yeah, he's just being shady. All these shady backdoor deals the whole time. But, damn it, this was a good movie, but it's just like, is this the type of movie? Like, there's a very few people that would be like, you should watch this movie, and I think that they would genuinely like it, It's just like a hard recommend. It's a hard recommend.
I liked it, but I don't know who else would. That's basically what you just said.
I
was reaching a little bit, but it's kind of one of those. It's sort of like, I think it's sort of like Moby Dick, where like nobody likes Moby Dick, but you have to say you liked it because then you don't sound like an idiot. You're like, oh, he's just an idiot. He doesn't get it. You know what I mean?
Like Citizen Kane and stuff like that.
Yeah. You have to say that Citizen Kane was brilliant. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's one of those,
and shit.
In a small way. It's not exactly like that, but it kind of in that realm. Oh, you simply must watch this movie. Yeah. But back to Sam Jackson real quick though. The first time I watched it when it first came out on like Blockbuster Rentals, I didn't connect that. Yeah, Sam Jackson was committing grand larceny, and I thought he was the good guy who was like saving the violin from something. Nope, he was just stealing it.
I give it a popcorn and 1.
So opposite of Jordan, I went into it and I was like, this is kind of cool, kind of interesting story, kind of good movie. And then like it ended, and I watched another movie that I'll review a little bit later. And I just kept thinking about it. And then I went into my gym and I'm working out and I'm thinking about it more while I'm working out. And then I'm like, I bleeping hated that movie. What the hell? Like, what is wrong with this movie? Like, nothing happens here. Oh, let's just randomly go to a bunch of gypsies that found the buried violin. Did they dig up a grave to find the violin? You don't know. You don't know. It was buried with the child.
There's a lot of fill in the blank. The violin ended up here somehow.
Yeah.
Definitely
she calls the
very vague.
Yeah. She calls the Frederick guy the devil. I don't think he was the devil. He just cheated on his wife with the gypsy and then poisoned himself. Like why is he? What led him to being the devil? He didn't kick the gypsies off his land, clearly because he's having sex with one in his room while his wife's away. So they were still on his land. Why is he the devil? No explanation there.
He's so ugly, really. He was
very ugly. Yeah, but he got it. Like, he got it in from being a great violinist. I'm sorry. Like, you could call him ugly if you want, but I'm not throwing salt in the player's game.
It was all a dream.
I need to play.
Yeah.
I need to create.
It was the weirdest sex scene ever, for sure. Like, that was odd.
Yeah.
But, it's like the scene with Hugh Jackman in Swordfish where he has to hack the computer. Like, that's kind of what, like, play the violin. But have you ever played it like this before? Like, hack the computer, but hack it like this.
Mm-hmm. It would have been 10 times funnier if it was a clarinet.
Like, it was just a weird. It was weird. Yeah. It was weird. Okay.
Yeah.
And the little kid, like I said, that whole scene, that homoerotic stare down that he has with the child it gave me creepy crawlies. Like the way he's looking at the kid and playing with his disgusting fingernails, and he's some royal. Like,
a lot of weird European sexual vampires in this movie.
It was so weird, right? And then the kid just dies, and he's with his violin, which explains nothing because he had to be with his violin so he wouldn't die. That makes no sense. Anyway, so let's move forward.
He had a heart attack. They kept talking about he has a weak heart, and then the thought.
How did they solve the heart thing, Josh, in the bed? How did they solve the heart thing in the bed? What did they do?
Put him with the violin.
Yes.
Yes.
So he had it.
So
yeah, it kind of breaks up the narrative that they're trying to do.
But no, the rich man is talking about taking the violin away from the kid, potentially.
Yeah, but he never does. He's holding it in his hand. Anyway, yeah, he had a panic attack. That's fair. He does have a panic attack. But then you get like the random gypsies, and 19 gypsies own it apparently. And then we get to did you notice that, right? It was like at first I thought it was the same dude, and I'm like, okay, cool, we're gonna get this dude. So I was like, wait, that's not the same dude. Wait, that's not the same dude. Different dude, different dude. Oh, now it's a ladies. Like it was just so random. And then you get the random. It ends up in China. Like wow, how does that happen? Right?
I'll tell you how it happens, and I've just kind of pieced it together. His Asian butler person takes it from him because you can see when he's kind of rifling through his stuff and stuff.
Oh shush. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you know. There's a clear theme in this movie of, you know, the minorities stealing it, so
that is very true. That lady didn't play, by the way. She caught him cheating and was not messing around. It's weird, man. It's this dude's wife dying dictates so many different major cultural moments in our history. No, it's not. So I got mad. At first I liked it. I was like, that was not a terrible movie. And then I thought about it and I was like, no, there's not a single bit of closure in any of it, including the end. Like, okay, thanks director for zero closure throughout the entire movie. Even the scene in China. The violin clearly murdered that old man, and you won't admit it. He's dead with his head on the table, bleeding from his eyes.
Wow. Well, yeah. I mean, I was gonna ask you about that because, like, I'm not saying it's a great story, but I'd say beautifully told as far as like potential realism, and you know,
realism.
No, just the communist part, like the Chinese part, like that was a really harsh reality. I mean, that's even today in North Korea, that shit could probably happen. You know what I mean?
They could have stretched that part into an entire movie.
Yeah,
and China.
That could have been the movie.
That could have been like Good Morning Vietnam, but China's version. If they had done it with like the violin,
but they'd have to give it a good ending. This is a way that they had to give it. They could give it a real ending. Anyway,
playing on Jordan's theme, and at the end, none of the minorities are able to purchase it because the white guy has too much money.
Yeah. so they steals it.
All right, so let's get on to what we were watching. I have got the most, so I'm going to go ahead and roll through. Is that okay with you, gentlemen?
Sure.
Awesome. I started out watching The Mill. So I watched The Mill with Rel from Vacation Friends 2. He was in the Rel show.
Did he drop the Lil?
Yeah, you know him. He kind of looks like Hannibal Buress a little bit, but he's not Hannibal Buress, if you were wondering.
He's the guy from Get Out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also in Get Out. Yeah, Rel, he makes me laugh, and he's really good in this, and it's kind of a one-man show. It's very interesting. It's an interesting take on AI and where it's going in the future. And his company systematically tortures him to figure out if he's going to be a good manager for the company. And that's how they figure it out. Oh. And how do they figure out this algorithm to torture him with? AI. And what happens with the AI? It takes over everything. So there's no one really running the company and no one knows what the AI does because the AI has kicked out everything and put up impossible firewalls to get through.
Oh.
I think that the way he finds himself there is very interesting. It's a story where he just wakes up there. There's no story leading to it. He just wakes up in this arena where he's by himself and he has to push what is like the best way I can describe it is an old school olive oil mill. Have you guys ever seen like an old school olive oil mill? It's like the big piece of stone and the wooden, like where you're pushing it. Yeah. So it's kind of like that. And he's got to do this every day for a couple revolutions. But if he does too well, it puts everyone else at risk. So because if he does so well, then obviously the others should be able to do just as well. So it increases everybody else's quota if he does too well in this work camp. So it's a Conan the Barbarian style work camp that he's in, but he's all by himself. They can just hear each other. Each person's in their own arena. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure.
And you never you never actually see anyone. You just hear their voices. So you can hear them suffering and anyone the person that is the lowest to their quota. So it doesn't matter if you don't make it, you just can't be the worst, gets murdered. And it becomes a really intense horror story about what we could see in the work environment in the future and how we could end up working ourselves to death, not through AI, but just like to continue to hit quotas, obviously, and I'm from the world of retail, that is what they do. If you hit quotas, you have to beat your quota. Like
if you don't, they kill you.
And then they murder you with robots, like the Terminator. I'm going to give it a popcorn at 1. It wasn't like the best well done movie, but it was a thinker and it was entertaining throughout. It was not comedian route. It was very much him in a serious role, and I felt like he did a very, very good job.
Cool.
I watched The Favorite, Yorgos Lanthimos, the director of Poor Things. Jordan says his name a little bit better than I do because he's very into it. I watched The Favorite because it popped up as a comedy on the Disney Plus stuff, and I was like, you know what, I'll watch it. I thought he did a great job with Poor Things. I've never seen The Favorite. I like Emma Stone, and first thing that popped into my head is Yorgos is really obsessed with Emma Stone's body because it is on display again quite a bit in this movie. Yeah, and she puts her in a lot of precarious positions to do things, and she's also a terrible person. Just awful. The character. And you see it throughout. Go ahead.
The character is terrible.
The character. Yeah, to be very clear, the character. She's probably just a gem. But in this movie, it has a ton of themes very akin to Parasite. Have you guys seen Parasite?
No, I need to.
Yeah. You guys both need to see Parasite. Have you seen Parasite, Jordan?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a lot like Parasite. Her character is very much like Parasite in the way she goes about her business and the way she handles things and the situations she finds herself in and how she really just eliminates so much. But the theme, I believe, at the end was no matter how hard she tries, she was still under someone's boot. And it's the queen. And that really comes to a head at the very end of the movie. There's a scene where she's trying to manipulate a situation and she beats herself with a giant book. And that was so interesting. And you know exactly where it's going, right? You've seen enough movies to know exactly where it's going. But she uses information that she finds against people. I'm going to give it a popcorn and 2. It was actually a very good movie. I think everybody should check it out at least. It was funny. It does have a lot of humorous elements to it. But it's not, I wouldn't call it a comedy. Dream Scenario. Wow, what a dark movie. How would you react if you suddenly started showing up in everyone's dreams and people begin to recognize you? This movie, it starts so calm and so gentle as he is, Nicolas Cage's character is a professor who is showing up in people's dreams, and it's innocent. He's just not doing anything. He's just a bystander. And then you start to notice that as he evolves and changes, so do these people's dreams, and it becomes, murderous, sexual, obsessing, observing, and it begins to scare everyone because he goes through a moment that is humiliating, and he's screaming in his hotel room and mad and angry, and in the dreams, just terrible things start happening to people, and they start to believe it because these dreams are so vivid that they scare people about him, and it destroys his entire life. And that part of the movie really makes you feel terrible for him. And Nicolas Cage acts it perfectly. But the whole time I'm wondering, would we be able to differentiate in today's world where we're so obsessed with our technology and our phones, the difference, right? Differentiate a dream, very clearly a dream, from a real person if it was so lucid that it felt real.
Oh, yeah.
I give this movie a popcorn and 2. I think it is one of Nicolas Cage's best works in a very long time. Next up, Cat Person. Wow. Not a single redeemable character in this entire movie. And I went into it thinking it's going to be a victim story about the female character played by Amelia Jones. You may know her from Coda or the TV series Lock and Key from Netflix.
Oh, yes.
Very good singer. Yeah, very good voice. And she's in this. And she plays the love interest, but she's very paranoid. And she has a lot of things, you get to see her inner thoughts. That's how they direct it. And it's directed by Susanna Fogel. And when you're watching it, at first you're like, oh, the first time it happens, is this real? Is this really happening? And then you realize, oh, it's in her head. And she pictures all these terrible scenarios with the gentleman she starts dating. His name is Nicholas Braun. You may know him as Cousin Greg from Succession. Mm-hmm. And they tease him a lot. They're like, he's super tall, like an ogre. He might be older, but she told him she was older than she was as well. So he's 33, has a house, and she's a college student that lives in the dorms. And they strike up this romance, and it it gets weird because it's what's in her head, what's not real, what is real.
Yeah.
There's an ant farm scene that's just terrifying. And that's the scene where you're really like, is he like this, or is this in her head? Is she making it worse than it actually is? And it turns, you get some resolution there. You get one of the most awkward sex and kiss scenes ever, almost as awkward as Electric Boogaloo, but it was really weird because he's like eating her face while they're kissing, and then they make a lot of jokes about the sex scene. Like in the moment, she's talking to her out of body experience herself about it and what she should be able to do to get out of it. And it's hard to watch. Like, it's rough. And they make a lot of jokes about it to try to, like, I think ease the tension in the scene where she's like, how much porn does this guy watch? Jeez, why is he saying this stuff? He must sit on his couch and watch 10 hours of porn a day. Like, it was really hardcore, like, insults. But at the same time, you're still kind of thinking, but does this guy deserve this? Is he a terrible person? And you can't tell. And it all comes to a head at the very end. And that's where you're really like, wow, there's not a single good person in this film. Like, they're not one, not her friends, not her, not the nurse. Oops, sorry, I gave something away. Spoiler alert, you might want to cut that out. Not the gentleman she's dating or the guy she's dating. He may not be a gentleman. He may be a terrible person. And I mean, I wrote this, so cover your ears or earmuffs. I mean, holy shit, the end. That's what I wrote. So you could tell, like, I was going through some stuff. I think it's an important movie for people to watch, but it's hard to watch. And it's important for it's important for both sexes. Both sexes should watch this movie to get both perspectives of these humans and to understand what a female's thinking and going through. And the quote at the beginning is, men are afraid that women will laugh at them. Women are afraid that men will kill them. And that gives you something to think about. But gosh, it was a popcorn in one, I suppose. It was rough. I had to put on The Office after just to like even out my feelings, you know? Yeah, a lot of stress going on. It's on Netflix if you want to check it out. It's in their top 10 this week. The next thing I watched, I guess I was just on a theme here, just like skin crawly stuff. Quiet on the Set, which is the story of Nickelodeon in the late 90s all the way up through about 2014. And a man named Dan Schneider who was abusive to his writers, to the actors and actresses that were on set, the kids. And if you are a kid that grew up watching all that, Kenan and Kel, Double Dare, this will ruin your childhood. The Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Awards. The hardest things to watch: Amanda Bynes, Drake Bell, and Ariana Grande. I don't want to give too many spoilers out, but overall, he was abusive. Like I said, at one point, I think you're already at this point, Jordan. He made a woman bend over a table, and you were already at this point, and pitch a show as if she was being sodomized in the middle of the writer's room. And it was so painful for her, she wouldn't even talk about it during the interview when she's being interviewed. So, Jordan, I don't want to go too far. Why don't you tell me a bit about what you were able to see?
Yeah, there is just some really, really awfully inappropriate things. Like, a lot of workplace conduct stuff. It's weird how it kind of evolves out of him. You know what I mean? Like, it starts off, everyone's like, oh my God, he was such a great guy. But it's just like the more power he consolidated, kind of. It's like a dictator. The more power he consolidated, the more like he started to become this monstrous guy. It's crazy. But I couldn't help but feel giddy about showing some of these old Amanda Show sketches and all that sketches that I totally just forgot about. I was like, man, I love this.
Man, yeah, Nickelodeon back then was like a movement. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the Kids' Choice Awards were amazing. Like, that was like one of my favorite events. I will say this, viewing it through a child's eyes was not the same as watching it back as an adult. I remembered watching as a child, not thinking about it the way that the adults were thinking about it. So in my mind, I was like, the adults should have stood up to him. The parents, I know they're afraid of their kids not getting work anymore. They're afraid that this could ruin careers, but your child's being abused. And I never picked up on it as a kid. I'm not kidding. I'm not lying. Like, I didn't pick up on the themes. I just thought it was funny. I was just being a kid. And then as an adult, if I look back, I'm like, wow, that's super inappropriate. So for me, it was conflicting. Is that fair? Am I going to get in trouble for saying that? Because I'm thinking about it through a kid's eyes.
All this is tough.
I laughed at it, but then as an adult, I'm like, wow, I probably shouldn't have laughed at it. But then I think about it, but I was like, but I was a kid and I didn't view it like that. I didn't see that happening in a sexual way because my mind wasn't thinking about things in a sexual manner.
Of course. Yeah.
How much of the Amanda Bynes stuff did you get to? Did you get to the Alexa taint?
Yeah. And I never picked up on that because you just don't know these things. You don't know what it is. Like,
did you get to the Ariana Grande milking the potato or juicing the potato? That was also pretty creepy. The putting her foot in her mouth. Like, some of the stuff that happened with Ariana was just awful and disgusting.
Yeah.
Drake Bell gets really bad, and it turns out that the only reason what was going on with Drake Bell was found out was because of his girlfriend's mom. Right? So no one went to defend this kid that was just being abused. Overall, I think it's something we should watch and we should be aware of. Popcorn and one. Go ahead.
It's like four episodes. It's 4 episodes and they're like 45 minutes piece. You had mentioned that there's going to be like some more episodes coming out.
Part 5.
A part 5. So one more episode. Yeah. We'll call that the Schneider cut.
Too soon. Jordan, it's not too soon for you to give us what you were watching this week. So let us in.
So I watched True Detective Night Country, the 4th installment in this what's the word I'm looking for? Like when it's a not a continuous storyline. It's a there's a word for that. Storyline. Where every anthology. Anthology
like
series.
An anthology series?
Yeah.
You're talking about the series is an anthology, not the shows. The shows are all like a story in itself. Each season is a story in itself.
Yes. So this one, look, okay, quick roll through the first season of True Detective is all-time great TV. Like I would put it up there in my like top 10 of TV shows standalone. I never watched season 2. Everyone said totally skip it. It's terrible. It adds nothing. It's just awful.
Is that the Vince Vaughn?
Yes. So I skipped it. The 3rd season, Mahershala Ali one was somewhere. Mahershala. It was it was good. It was just good. This one stars Jodie Foster and a bunch of recognizable other faces. Well, not a bunch, but a few. And then, some good. It takes place in Alaska during what they call the long night, where it's like almost 2 weeks worth of night or something like that.
Yeah, like 30 Days of Night style.
Yeah, exactly. And there are a lot of native Alaskan actors in this, and they're fantastic. Everyone is very fantastic. The culture is installed into this show, and it's all really cool because it's a culture that just doesn't get that much spotlight. It's really interesting. Jodie Foster is really strong in this. Her 2 co-stars, the female native woman, who I don't know her name, and the young man partner, I don't know his name, the boy that she's kind of training up to kind of be her successor. He's a really good actor, but he kind of looks a little bit too much like a young Bill Skarsgård. So sorry, bud. That might affect your career a little bit.
Are you saying that lane is taken? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You can't. There can't be 2 kind of bony, gaunt, white dudes. Like that's it. He's already. Skarsgård's already the Crow, bro. You missed it.
He's already the Crow, bro.
He's already the Crow, bro. There's a religion. There's race. I think
it's you're talking about Trooper Evangeline Navarro.
Yes.
Callie Reese,
she's great.
And then Officer Peter Pryor. Is that the man?
The younger. There's 2 Pryors. His dad's in the show, and he's a recognizable face, so it's definitely not that guy.
So we got Finn Bennett.
Okay. Yeah. Shout out to them. They're really good in this show. It's religion, race. They did something in the season that I really don't like, and it's kind of a no-no for me. It's like when you got these good detective narratives going in this drama, don't insert a paranormal question mark. Like, could this actually be like ghosts or something? There's a lot of that. But it's kind of built into the native culture aspect of it. Like, this is just the stuff that they genuinely believe in out there. Like, this town is a magical place where, it's nighttime all the time. So people get delirious and they see things. So it's kind of ambiguous. Like, you don't really know. they also did something that they're starting to add things that connect the seasons a little bit. There's like this weird cult symbol-y, like time is a flat circle, and it's like this spiral thing that appears throughout the first and the third season. I don't know if it's in the second. They could just leave that alone. These are good shows on their own. Just make it, the music in this show is really fitting and good, and it's like haunting kind of orchestral stuff. It really adds to it's very good. I give
Does
this
it like push to the pace or push the pace of the story along?
Yeah. It's good, and the music is good. The theme song to it is that weird Billie Eilish song, like "Where do we go from here? How do we die?" Yeah, really weird stuff. Switch it up. I watched a stand-up comedy special. It's one that I didn't know was coming out at all. When I saw it, I immediately turned it on. I was like, I have to watch this. And it's Dave Attell, Hot Cross Buns. It's typical Dave Attell, deadpan. He kills you with the punchlines. It's just constant over and over punchline. And I like some good zingers that he threw in there. He calls food delivery people third responders, which was really funny. It's like, and he had another good one. It's like, what loneliness looks like? Your own reflection in a microwave door. It's like, yeah, that resonates. You're just sitting there watching your Hot Pocket, like
really hard just now.
It's like, yeah, you're watching your Hot Pocket in the microwave, and you're like, yeah, turn into a real person. He has okay, so it's good. It's like it's Dave Attell doing these punchline jokes, whatever. He's doing his thing. It's okay. But at the end, it really just unravels and falls apart into this. Like, he pulls out a recorder. he pulls out a recorder, and he starts playing a recorder to the audience. And then he pulls out a second recorder.
Nice.
And he's playing it to the audience. And then
David
he has the audience pull out recorders. Yes. And he has the audience all pull out recorders, like Oprah style, like everyone look under your chair, there's a recorder. And the whole crowd is playing recorders. Shit. And he's teaching them how to play. And it makes no sense. It's really stupid. And then at the end of his special, there's like this context, whatever, text comes up on the screen. It says, Netflix said the special was too short, so we needed 5 more minutes of footage. And so it's just him at the San Francisco wharf playing the recorder to a bunch of seals for 5 minutes. No
stupid.
Yeah, and so I'm like, this is just really, really dumb. It's a popcorn.
Poppy. All right. So you had a weird show. You said a show was odd that you were watching. I actually haven't tuned into it at all, but it was definitely on my list of shows to watch, and I'm really waiting for your review to figure out whether or not I wanted to see it.
Yeah. This show is a must watch. Like, however you rate it or whatever, this is like a must. This is must watch TV. It's must watch TV. It's good.
Must watch.
It's yes. It's from the Game of Thrones producers, the D.B. Weiss and the other guy that's involved in it. There's a lot of recognizable faces, especially from Game of Thrones. A lot of ancillary characters and stuff are in this. It is hardcore sci-fi. It's very cerebral. It's it's a mystery. It's kind of like a sci-fi mystery. It's heavy in like the science part of the sci-fi, like especially like astrophysics, which is they try to keep it as simple as they possibly can for you, but there is some stuff that you just get lost in, and they know you're just going to get lost in it, and they just roll on. They just steam through it.
We don't need to explain this. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Just go YouTube it.
It's a bit of a slow burn, like the first half. By the way, this is a short show. It's like 8 episodes, and they're about an hour long. It's a slow burn, especially in the beginning, and kind of a bummer throughout. It kind of bums you out, the show. but it's not in a way that's like, oh God, I need to stop watching this and turn on something else. It just, it's interesting enough to just keep you going through this, a little bit of a slog through the first half. Then it really picks up. It's also kind of weirdly psychedelic at times. There's like some weird stuff that just doesn't get explained and just weird phenomenons happening. It's all fine. It doesn't lose you. There's an extremely annoying character that it's like the kind of character where you love to hate them. They're just so annoying. And you'll know exactly who I'm talking about once you watch this. Yeah. So there's some really cool scenes. There's a bunch of people get ghost shipped in really slow fashion. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Ghost Ship.
Yeah.
A wire snaps
ago, years and years ago.
Yeah, like a deck wire snaps and just cuts a bunch of people in half. That happens with like
spoiler alert.
It's going around here. Now I'm not gonna. Okay, people get ghost shipped. If you understand what that means, people get ghost shipped. I won't give you then some people get inceptioned, hardcore. Then everybody gets inceptioned, like the whole world.
Wait, they're living in our brains while we're sleeping?
No. It's not narrative wise.
Talks to you charismatically.
They don't get inceptioned. They don't get inceptioned narrative wise. They get inceptioned effects wise. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. Yeah. Okay. Then they get Eye of Sauron. Everybody gets Eye of Sauron. And then they get Final Destination.
They predict their own death that they can't stop.
This is the best review. Maybe the best review I've ever heard.
It's a whole thing. It's very complicated, but it's fantastic. Fantastic narrative. And the guy who plays the character Will, when you watch the show, he is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Okay. Great actor. He's gonna go on and get some parts. I can see it. I really want to give this a popcorn in 3. I'm going to give it a popcorn in 2. I'm going to give it a popcorn in 2.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a 2 because there is a lot going on. It's just a very expositional first season. There's so many ways they can go with this, and it can go extremely wrong very quickly. I can see this in the next season.
Like Altered Carbon did?
Yeah.
When Altered Carbon screwed up their whole thing when they just did like a weird Anthony Mackie season.
Yeah.
Poppin' 2. Josh,
hey,
you've got 3 you want to review and 1 we're going to fight about.
We're going to fight about that one last, bucko. Just real quick, I did watch Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mr. and Mrs. Christmas.
This will be the original installment of the Intellectual Property with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. And it's an okay movie, It's like a sexy movie. Spies, Actually, surprisingly large number of women actors that all have big careers now are like just Angelina Jolie's little like helper secret agents.
Like her entourage of agents?
Yeah, like they're all big names. Anyway, maybe not back then. Maybe they were still on the come up. But some of them, anyway, not the point. It's a fun movie. It's a nothing movie. It's a interesting take on rom-coms. If you don't know what it's about, I'm not going to explain it to you because it's so old. But there is a TV show that's out that I'm going to watch next week, which is partially why I watched this with Donald Glover and someone else. So Donald Glover's taking Brad Pitt's job, and it's a show instead of a movie. So interesting to see the movie, and now I'm going to see this show next week. I'll tell you what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I'm interested. The
movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I think, is best viewed having no idea what it's about, which is impossible because the poster shows them both holding guns and explains exactly what's happening. They're both secret agents. Now they're in love. But are they? Like, that's like basically the slogan. It's all the trailers. You go into the movie knowing exactly what's going to happen, which is a disservice to a movie like this. And I'd say maybe most movies, it's kind of nice to go in dry. Hey, whoa. Hold on now. This movie does not allow that to happen, and it never will be ever again, of course, because it's so old, and by now you have to know what this movie's about. So that kind of spoils it.
Is this the movie that broke up Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie?
It spawned Brangelina.
Yeah.
No, it got them together. It broke up.
It got them together.
It got them together. Yeah.
So the actress you were trying to think of, Josh, from Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the TV show, her name is Maya Eskren.
Maya Eskren.
Shout out to her.
Erskine.
Shouts out.
Erskine.
Shout out to her.
Erskine. Yeah, and Donald Glover. He's the best. So yeah, it's a popcorn.
She's from Pen 15.
Yeah, Pen 15. I go popcorn, I suppose. It's good. Whatever. Next, I watched. What was the second movie? That's nothing. Spider-Man 2 Across the Universe, Across the Spider-Verse. It's a great movie. We've talked about it before. I've ranted until I was salivating. Popcorn and 3 movie. Shut up. If I was gonna give it any real criticism, it would be that it's a bit dense. It's a bit dense, but I think maybe the third movie is going to alleviate that a bit. Hopefully, they finish out the trilogy to perhaps make it one of the best trilogies ever in superhero movie history. Right now, I think Guardians of the Galaxy has that. What do you think? Anyway,
unfortunately, news coming out of that is it's that the third movie production has been postponed indefinitely. So whatever that means, it's
having issues because Euphoria 3 season 3 also same thing. They said they're not even going to start shooting until 2026, and I'm like, yo, this is a show about kids in high school. Like, you can't just like postpone 2 years.
Yeah, just don't do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, just don't do it. Anyway. Popcorn. And then, Spider-Man. It's Popcorn and 3. Great movie. Now, the last movie I watched is something that I just mentioned. I watched it, and Fry said I did not like that movie. And I thought, I kind of really liked this movie a lot. So I'm going to give it, before I even tell you what it is, a Popcorn and 1. The Last Duel is the movie with Adam Driver and Matt Damon. And I had her name. I lost her name. I'm sexist. Jodie Comer. You'll know her from Free Guy 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. So she's the lady lead. And the movie is really great. It's a take on the Rashomon Kurosawa style or Hero with Jet Li, you might be more familiar with, where it's multiple perspectives, kind of the same story retold through different perspectives to show the differences in opinion and perspective and all this blah, 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 blah. It's cool. It starts with Matt Damon, and then it goes to Adam Driver's perspective on basically what just happened, and then it shows the woman's point of view, and then it kind of hints that this is what actually happened. Like, this is what really happened, and this is what it looked like through her eyes. And it involves rape, and it involves the patriarchy. Actually, that's the worst part of this show because it has the different perspectives. So in the second perspective, chapter 2 with Adam Driver, he rapes her, and from his point of view, it's actually not. In his point of view, it really isn't, but it clearly is. But then you see, now we're going to show the third perspective, her point of view. So now it goes back and rewinds, and now you're thinking, oh no, I'm going to have to watch that again and probably worse. So like, that's the part of the movie that really sucks for me, is that we have to watch the same rape scene, and the second time around it's worse. And now, that's a big criticism, but I also feel very important to the movie. So it's kind of a oppo-boppo situation. That's a bad joke. Anyway, I did love the movie. I loved how it took place in 1300s, maybe early 1400s almost, but in France, and how, the church rules everything, the king rules everything, the lord of the land. It's all just a big line of dudes who say what's what, and they just make up whatever they want about women. Ben Affleck plays such a pretty boy, privileged jerk of a lord. Man, he's an asshole. The whole boys club thing, he encapsulates perfectly. Like, him and Adam Driver, he like ropes Adam Driver in because, hey, you're my buddy. We go golfing together and we bang whores. Yeah. And like, it was like, that was perfect. The way they set up the scene, the way they like show how all this happens behind closed doors, and we pretend that it's all like on like honor and this system of nobility and fealty and all this, but it's really whatever we say it's gonna be. Like, oh, hey, guess what? It's you now. It's not him. He's out. Bah. Just because they didn't like him. And I've seen that happen in the real workplace. Yeah. Favoritisms and all this, and the same goes for. Yeah, and the same goes for sexual assault. I've seen the way this goes down, kind of, like in a much lesser sense, but I've seen the way this goes down in the real world. So I thought the realism of this movie which is like truth to the story of women throughout history, the truth to the setting, the historical accuracy of it. Like Matt Damon, I'm not sure if y'all noticed, he was using a sword the way the swords were actually used. Like he was grabbing it by the blade and stabbing people. He was using it like a hammer. Like swordplay wasn't this like thing. It was like brutal back then. And that is just a testament to the rest of the movie's realism. And I loved how lines changed, the way people were perceived. Matt Damon in the first chapter was kind of a noble, heroic, big, strong man who was just being wronged. In the second one, he was kind of a dope. And in the third one, he was just a mean old, regular old husband from back in the day who doesn't trust his wife and gritty and just a bully. So like, I love the acting that everyone did. I love this movie for that purpose. I mean, it really told a strong story. The way it ended with her being like, kind of, was all this worth it sort of thing? And like the sadness of that moment, like the tragedy of it, even though she's in a happy setting in the end, I guess it's kind of based on some truth. That's kind of cool.
It's a very real scenario. It's like, what reason would a woman have to lie? Because look at what you have to go through, even though you're the victim. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You get dragged through the mud. Or worse. You know, she could have been flayed. So, and then the last fight scene really brought it all home, like the brutality of that last duel. I go popcorn in 1, borderline 2.
Yeah, fair. I think a popcorn in 1 is fine. The movie's entirely too long. It is too long. Is a long movie. Adam Driver overacts his ass off. Like he overacts the hell out of that role. And I like Adam Driver, but we've been over it. He on occasion overacts. Like in one of our, what was our Butter on Top Ferrari? Just bad. It was just bad. It was bad.
I put him in a Nick Cage category for that.
Yeah,
he's in Nick Cage lane. Yeah.
The like character design of Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, they just look stupid. They look ridiculous. They look like a parody of a Renaissance fair people.
So Jordan, you took my next thing.
Yeah.
Matt Damon doesn't fit at all.
Yeah, no.
Like at all. He's just not a good choice for the role. It's the same as him in like The Great Wall. You seen The Great Wall? Like I don't see the Boston guy. I don't see the Boston guy in Medieval Times.
I see
like it just doesn't it doesn't work for me.
I think at the very least
over there.
They transformed him enough to be just like barely noticeable. Like to me, like that's barely even Matt Damon. He's so ugly and dirty in this.
I think the most redeemable part is Ridley Scott's directing. Like that's it. The performance is not amazing. Kind of outside of her, I suppose she did the best job.
She did great.
If we were to pick it out, the duel is the best part of the movie. Is the duel, and you wait a very, 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 very long time to get to the duel.
Yeah,
and it does tie it together. I agree with Josh, but there's just so much wrong with it. I don't believe that the cinematography was amazing. I think it's a lot of dialogue shot after dialogue shot after dialogue shot.
That's true.
That's true. And for me, it was just if you're gonna do that, don't make it 5 hours of dialogue. It's just too much. Make a TV show if you do that.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been a good TV show.
Yeah, I could go get behind that. But overall, Josh, I agree with your rating. Popcorn 1 was good. Now we've got a very exciting John Wick style Butter on Top for the audience this week. And I know if you've seen the trailer, you're looking forward to this movie. You have to be, especially if you're a fan of action. So our Butter on Top is Monkey Man. And I will tell you, I got a special screening, and I'm not going to spoil it. It's good. That's all I'm going to say. If you like action films, it's good. It's a really good movie. And
so
Jordan,
excited.
Yeah, and Jordan, you got the Drunk Classic. So what are we watching?
Yeah, I'm going to pick something. I don't know why. Everything that's popping out to me on my list is kind of action-y, but I'm going to pick something to kind of switch up the vibe, some unserious action. It's a nostalgic movie for me, a kid movie for me. It has a young Kirsten Dunst.
Oh,
I know what it is already.
Yeah, it's a young Kirsten Dunst, the voice of Tommy Lee Jones, David Cross. It's Small Soldiers.
Small Soldiers.
The second you said a young Kirsten Dunst kind of action, I was like, it's Small Soldiers.
Yeah.
All right.
I wonder if it
Sounds
holds
good
up.
to me. I wonder if it holds up too.
It does. To me it does. But
does.
you know.
Yo, his dad in this film is the dad in like every film.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jordan, where can they reach us?
On the X at Popcorn and Beer.
All right. So make sure you find us there. And remember, subscribe, rate, and review. As always, we will see you at the movies. You bring the popcorn. We got the beer.
We got